if I had $1 million,
If I had $1 million,
well, I'd buy you a house.
I would buy you a house.
And if I had $1 million,
If I had $1 million,
buy you furniture for your house.
maybe a nice Chesterfield or an ottoman.
And if I had $1 million,
If I had
Hello everyone and welcome to the Plan Your Business Show, where we help you plan your business. I'm your host, Betty Byer, and your consultant today is Christy Cost. Today on the show, we are going to have Sally Sales. Thank you for that very warm welcome for Sally. Here she is.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm thinking about starting a lemonade stand, but I don't know how many workers to hire or how much to pay them.
That's a great question for Christy. Christy, what do you think?
How much do you think you want to pay each worker, Sally?
Well, every other lemonade stand on my block pays $1 an hour.
The demand for your labor is going to depend on the wage rate and the quantity of labor demanded by you, the firm. At high wage rates, the demand for labor by the firms is lower in comparison to lower wage rates. This explains the downward sloping demand curve of the graph. At $2 per hour, Sally is only willing to hire 1 worker. At $1 per hour, Sally is willing to hire 5 workers. At 50 cents per hour, Sally is willing to hire 7 workers, and so on. This demand schedule is equal to the marginal revenue product of labor, or MRP, which is defined as the addition to the firm's revenue as the result of an additional output for an additional unit of labor. And are you planning on hiring everyone at the same wage rate?
Well, since they all have identical skills, yes.
Then you're working in a perfectly competitive labor market because you have many skilled workers with identical skills and you're paying them the same wage.
You're also going to want to take into account the marginal factor cost, or MFC, which is the additional cost for each additional unit of labor hired. This can be seen on the graph as a horizontal line because in a perfectly competitive labor market, the wage is determined by the market. The firm, or Sally in this case, is a wage taker. Sally must pay each of her workers the going wage, which is $1 per hour. Because the wage is dictated by the market, it is a horizontal line, which means the average cost of labor, or the wage rate, equals the marginal factor cost of labor.
So no matter how many workers I'll hire, I have to pay them all the same amount?
Exactly.
So how do I know when to stop hiring workers?
Well, since you're operating in a perfectly competitive labor market, you're going to want to keep hiring workers until the MRP is greater than or equal to the MFC. The reason the equilibrium is where MRP equals MFC is because when MFC exceeds MRP, the workers are actually detracting from the work and the efficiency of the firm because of diminishing marginal returns. This means that for each additional worker you hire beyond equilibrium, you're getting less profit back.
Okay, so that's how it all works.
Exactly. At $1 an hour, you should hire 5 workers.
So what if I have a lemonade stand in a different neighborhood where there's no competition?
Then your firm would be a monopsony, and since you're the only buyer of a particular kind of labor.
Your MFC is now greater than the wage rate because if one worker receives a relatively higher wage rate, then the rest of the workers will want that same wage. So the supply line is still upsloping and the MFC lies above it. The demand is the same as the MRP.
This concludes our segment on the resource and factor markets. We wish the best of luck to Sally and anyone like her who's starting a lemonade stand. Thank you. Until next time.